It's a real pleasure to be here. I'd like to first bring over Mary. Where's Mary? Our badger. Come on, come over here. Because this lady has been, I think, since the beginning of January, been here, is that right?
No.
How long have you been here for then?
November.
November, right. So you've been basically a lone protest here since November, every week.
Yeah.
What, for more than one day?
One day a week.
1 day a week. So let's just hear a big round of applause for what Mary's doing. And, you know, I came across Mary here a few weeks ago because I was going to meet up in Downing Street, of all places, to talk about elephants. And I was walking past and I came across Mary and we had a chat. And I didn't realise she was here as regularly as she was, so that's my fault. But when I realised that she was doing this, which is so important, because she's bringing attention to all those 19,274 badgers that were slaughtered for no reason in 2017, she is here with her banner. Everyone going in and out of this place, including Mr. Gove when he arrives in the office, cannot avoid what he signed off on last summer. Wouldn't you agree? So a round of applause for Mary. Protest is so important, and just coming here, and it's been great for us to be able to join you. But there were two reasons. Firstly, we were going to have this protest anyway, but obviously there were some major developments on Friday. In the great tradition of the DEFRA press office here, I used to work in this department many years ago, and they are very skilled in putting out stories when no one is around to write about them. So on Friday, half-term week, when most of the journalists are off with their children on holiday, they finally put out some important developments about the badger cull and about TB policy. Now, let's just be clear about what actually happened. We were being told by Downing Street, being told by senior officials around the Prime Minister and the Environment Secretary, that a review was in the pipeline for the badger cull. But this badger cull review would be part of a wider TB policy review to be undertaken by a leading scientist with the support of the Secretary of State. Well, on Friday we got an announcement that said there will be a TB policy review, but the badger cull will not be included at all. Do you think that's right? Okay? And we ask ourselves a question.
What do you propose we do about the fact that they are spreading TB in very...
Okay, you can tell in a minute. This is up. Right. Let me do... Okay, let's just focus for a moment, please, on where we are, not on where you are. You can ask us questions in a minute, but let's just say what we're doing here. We had a discussion with senior people. We met with the Secretary of State here in November. Myself and Peter is going to speak in a moment as chairman of the trust. And he said to us that he was very open to a review of this policy. He's indicated to Save Me and other wildlife charities involved in this debate that was going to be a review of this policy. Well, suddenly that review has disappeared. And who's to blame for that? Well, I would say it's the National Farmers Union that are next door here, because it's them that are pulling the levers in this department, not the Secretary of State and not the politicians. Do any of us believe that's right in a democracy? No. It is not, and that is the problem that we face. So we have no badger cull review. Why shouldn't we have a review? Well, we've killed nearly 35,000 badgers in the last 5 years. We've spent about £50 million of your money, taxpayers' money, killing those animals. And we know the vast majority of those badgers don't have TB, because the government here and the Secretary of State, even though we asked him in November, has been sitting on data for a year and a half, of over 900 badgers that were tested post-mortem in 2016. And what does that tell us? It tells us only about 3% of those animals, 3%, are actually infectious with late-stage TB. 97% of those animals pose no major threat to badgers and no threat to cattle at all, yet we are wiping them out in the most cruel, costly way possible. Do any of us feel that's acceptable? No! It's an absolute disgrace. And to rub salt into the wounds on the announcement on Friday, it got even worse. We then told that they're going to consult, which basically means they're going to do it. They're going to move into the low-risk TB areas and start destroying badgers there as well. Do any of us believe that's acceptable? No! Because I can tell you this, if there's only a 3% disease rate in the high-risk area, you can be damn certain it's probably below 1% in the low-risk. And if it's below 1%, the chance of it spreading to another badger or cattle are almost completely zero. So you are killing animals for no justification at all. Do any of us believe that our hard-earned taxpayers' money should be spent destroying a protected species that's lived on these isles since the Ice Age for no reason other than just to placate the farming lobby next to this building? Do we? No! And surprise, surprise, Michael Gove's run the gauntlet today. He didn't want to stop and say anything, but he was quite happy to go to the NFU conference yesterday. He was quite happy to welcome the new president of the National Farmers Union, Miss Minette Batters. Miss Minette Batters is the champion of the badger cull at the National Farmers Union. I've been interviewed with her, Peter's met with her, we've debated and discussed it with her. This lady is not to be reasoned with about this policy. She believes all badgers should be removed effectively from farms in this country. She doesn't care how it's done, doesn't care how much it's going to cost, doesn't care how cruel it is. She just wants them gone. Are any of you happy with that? No! Well, I say this to Minette Batters. You might be president of the NFU, you might feel quite smug today. You might call me a gassy little man. I believe you don't like me very much. Well, this gassy little man's not going to go anywhere. And this tall man next to me is not going to go anywhere either. We are going to be in your face. We're going to fight this in the courts. We're going to fight it in the fields. We're going to fight it outside DEFRA. We're going to continue to fight it in the media. This is not just a battle about the badger. It's a battle about the future of our countryside, the future of our farming industry, and who holds power in this country. Is it our elected politicians? Is it the civil servants that serve them that I used to when I worked in this department? Or is it unelected secrecy from the National Farmers Union cooking up policies that no one can scrutinise, that even the politicians have no influence over, and we in the public have no influence either? It's an absolute disgrace, and it cannot go on. Wouldn't you agree? Yes! So this is an important battle. A line has been drawn in the sand. Yes, I've been into Downing Street, as Peter and others have in recent months, and we talk with senior levels in this government. And yes, we can speak to the Secretary of State directly, and he can be very charming. But if he wants to go down as a Secretary of State that emerges as a man who changed the way this department works, that brought about a radical revolution in green issues, and he has made some differences. Microbeads, CCTV in slaughterhouses, neonicotinoid insecticides, beavers in our rivers. We know some things are being done, and I welcome that. But his reputation will hang on one issue alone. He will be the man that's destroyed more badgers in this country in living memory than anyone else in history. And that is what Michael Gove will be remembered for. The bloodbath of badger murder. Wouldn't you agree? And the final challenge I will say is this. The Labour Party issued its animal welfare plan. And I welcome it because centre of it is a commitment to stop the badger cull. And we need to see that. But there is more than just words. We need Labour Party to work with us as wildlife conservation groups, as farmers, as livestock vets and others, and set up a whole review of this policy in opposition and come up with an effective means of lowering bovine TB that does not mean destroying our precious wildlife. We have time to do it. Groups like the Badger Trust want to work with Labour to make that happen. So let's get that policy review underway. Let's bring all those people together and let's come up with a concrete plan of action that would bring a Labour government into office with an alternative that would work, that will benefit farmers, that will benefit taxpayers, and will benefit our precious wildlife, because that is so important. Let's take the politics out of this. Let's keep all the Tory MPs that support it on side, the Labour Party moving forward, the Greens and Liberals and everyone else, because we cannot go on farming in this countryside by destroying wildlife around all farms. I'll just leave you with a percentage figure. Since I was born in 1970, we've seen nearly a 50% drop in species, wild species across this country. And 3/4 of the land in this country is agriculture farmland. If Minette Batters wants to take badgers away from all that land, we will take numbers down to such a level that we will see this species disappear from parts of the country where it's lived since the Ice Age. No one has the right to do that. No one has the right to inflict such damage on our environment for short-term political economic interests. That's why the Badger Trust will fight this. That's why we need to continue to have your support. That's why we need all the wildlife conservation charities with us. This is a very important battle. It's not just about care and compassion. It's about science. It's the future of our countryside and the very future of our politics. So thank you very much for coming today. Keep fighting. We're with you 100%. I'm going to hand over to Peter Martin, Chairman of the Badger Trust. Thank you.